Are you guys here at the White House in full-blown freak-out mode?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
There's a Politico
Peter?
story. It sounds like Democrats outside, the quote is, Biden's stubbornly poor polling and the stakes of the election are creating the freakout.
The Democrats are in a full-blown freakout mode over Joe Biden's abysmal polling numbers, no matter how much Karine Jean-Pierre tries to deflect. And that's according to a recent Politico report.
And we keep wondering why these young people aren't coming home to the Democrats, why blacks are not coming home to the Democrats. Because Democratic messaging is full of shit. That's why. And talk about cost of living. And we're going to help deal with this. And don't talk about GAFA and student loans.
Recent Rasmussen polls suggest that 54% of Democrats either strongly or somewhat approve of the DNC replacing Joe Biden as their candidate this year. That's up from 48% in February. So, needless to say, it's not looking too good for Biden and the Democrats right now. In fact, another recent poll from the New York Times, of all places, has Trump decisively leading Biden in 5 of the 6 key battleground states this election year. So I'd say if there's a free and fair election, it's definitely freak out time if I were a Democrat who thought the democracy was literally going to die if Trump were reelected. And joining me now is Mark Mitchell. He's the head pollster for Rasmussen Reports. Mark, it's good to see you. Look, I found the timing of your poll interesting, and I'm sure you did it on purpose because I am seeing constantly in the media this idea, and I'm talking about liberal rags, right? Typically shields for the Biden regime, that maybe Biden's not our guy. And it seems almost like they're laying the groundwork for this possibility they're going to do a switcheroo via superdelegates at their convention.
I think everybody's starting to catch up to the polling, and we were out there leading from the front, showing Trump has a massive lead. And even if you throw our numbers out and say it's an outlier, we did the generic ballot, and we have Republicans up 5, but Trump up 10, and Biden lags the Democrats. So Biden is a drain on the ticket, and Trump is raising the Republicans' chances. So I think what they're doing is looking around and watching this trial and realizing desperately that it's not going to take out Donald Trump. But the problem for the Democrats is there's nobody else to save them. And that swing you highlighted really was the big news because we've asked about, Biden's mental acuity and if he's a pup or not and whether he'd be replaced. And always Democrats basically supported Biden, but here for the first time, a majority of Democrats saying they would prefer to see Biden replaced. That's really, really big news, and especially the number of people who strongly approve of the switcheroo of Democrats, 25%, is almost as much as those who strongly disapprove now, 26%.
That's a huge swing. I mean, you're talking 48% to 54%. That's a big jump. But the problem they have, right, the Democrats, I guess, is who do you replace him with? And you did poll all the names that are out there. There's Michelle Obama, there's Gavin Newsom. I think we've heard Gavin Newsom discussed most often, though. That kind of died down a few months ago. Kamala Harris, you know what? Okay, looking at these numbers, Kamala Harris did better than I expected her to, but there's no real clear front runner. Michelle Obama, 14%. That's lower than I expected, Mark.
I keep begging for people to give me a viable candidate name that I can test against Donald Trump. And we've tried all the big ones and they aren't winners. Among Democrats, actually more Democrats pick none of them than any of those candidates. And everybody would say, well, Michelle Obama is going to come and save us. If you look at the Democrat numbers, 21% of Democrats, if they were going to switch Joe Biden out, would pick Michelle Obama, but 17% Kamala Harris, 11% Hillary Clinton. And those are not two very likable people. And obviously, they're accomplished on the world stage, but still. And then Gavin Newsom, 8%, Gretchen Whitmer, 5%. So I think they really are putting it all in on this trial. And looking at the numbers we've asked about the trial, Joe Biden's strongest disapprovers actually do think they're going to get a conviction out of this. It's over 80%. 50% of them strongly agree there's going to be a conviction, another 30% And what's really wacky is I've been tracking Right Direction, Wrong Track. We go and pull that every night. And believe it or not, right track is surging right now. It's up into the low 30s, which is pretty high considering where it's been. And it's all being driven by Democrats. Just over a week ago, for the first time, Democrats lost right direction. I think they're at 45-45. Now they're up 54-40. So Democrats are watching this trial, and I think they're salivating that Trump's going to be taken off their hands, because I guess at this point, it really is all they have until it gets to the swing states, as you know.
It is, but I honestly think with these kind of dismal numbers and the fact that Democrats don't care for anyone else, they still have a problem on their hands, because I think Donald Trump in prison in a semi-free and fair election, because he would be in prison, that wouldn't be fair. I think he still beats anyone in the Democrat field.
I mean, I would say that his initial indictments were the biggest gift his primary candidacy got. And we asked, I think it was back in January, if Trump was found guilty, would you be more likely or less likely to vote for him? And more people say more likely. And if you add up more likely and it doesn't make any difference, it got to like 70% or something like that. And I think, the 26% of people that say they're going to be less likely to vote for Donald Trump if he gets convicted are obviously these Biden strong approvers, right? So I don't think,
I think so too.
Yeah, the images are going to be graphic, because what we saw is that mugshot, right? And I wish I had a way to pull on that, but I think that was probably one of the most seminal things that's happened in the last year or two in politics, and we're probably going to get more.
I think so too. And you know what? We're about to discuss this in the next segment, but there's people now out there explaining that this weaponization has actually backfired, and that they'll be voting for Trump because of it. Mark Mitchell, I always love your polling, because you all poll the most interesting subjects that actually matter, but no one else really pays attention to.
Yeah, we have a real stunner on vaccine safety, so everybody should hit us up on YouTube and check out our latest video. It's
already out?
Oh, yeah. You want the top lines?
Yeah, give me the top lines real quick.
42% of all Americans say they know someone personally who died from COVID, but 19% of Americans, 1 in 5, say they know somebody that died from the COVID vaccine side effects. So the implication is hundreds of thousands of people.
We're going to have you back to go more in depth on that and look at all the crosstabs